we'll start here. We usually get pushed back out of the tent, and then we're just looking at oil pressure and fuel pressure and bits and pieces. Bang it in first gear and toodle through the paddock, and usually just rub the brake as well, make sure everything's working.
Yeah. Because
it'd be exciting if we get out there and it doesn't.
Do you have much you can do inside the car while you're driving?
Not while we're driving, really. We can alter
do brake
throttle position. No, can't alter brake balance. We can alter stuff to do with the engine a little bit.
Yeah. Boost
control and throttle position control. But you tend not to, they're not that easy to reach. So we'd normally be gridded up here in the pre-grid. Just making sure. Yeah, we've got plenty of temperature before we go and do our dummy launch between these big cuts. We
have been told to we can only drive at 15 mile an hour today, unfortunately, in this lovely Porsche Macan S that Beck Evans has supplied.
It's very nice. So here we would do our dummy launch, which means press the launch button, select first gear, hold the handbrake, floor the throttle, let the clutch up, and then let everything go.
So when you say floor the throttle, you literally pin it to the floor?
Yes.
And it holds it a certain amount of revs?
It does, yeah. Yeah. And then you need to come off the throttle, once you're going, so you need to come off the throttle and manage the...
Yeah, just ease it off as
the
you...
wheel spin, yeah. And it does, and this initial launch, they sort of call it tyre cleaning, which it does clean the tyres, but also it gives you an idea of how much grip's on the circuit. Yeah. So that when we line up for our proper launch for the start, we can alter the launch setting. Yeah. So if we get too much wheel spin, we can go down a click or two. If it bolts, it doesn't move, we can go up a click or two. Right. So that we try and get the optimum.
So we're approaching the start line. Where were you yesterday?
So we toodled down to the start, and I started mostly on the outside, although for the final I was on the inside of the second row.
And which is better, inside or outside?
Depends where you are, Lydon. If you're on the inside, it's better to go straight to the main circuit if you can, if your launch is good.
Yeah.
But Lydon's unique in that if you're on the outside, the Joker lap is straight off the outside at the first corner, which is actually an advantage sometimes. So we do our launch the same, first gear, launch button, ready to race light on, floor the throttle, we've got handbrake on, and let the clutch up to it bites. And then the ready to race light goes off, green light, and away we go. Your heart rate's up there.
Is it?
Yeah. Because you're sat there with at least 5 other cars, and there's plenty of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we get a good enough launch, probably would go Joker anyway, unless the launch was particularly good and we can get to the first corner first before everybody else.
Is it preferable to get to the first corner and not take the Joker?
I think from a race point of view, it is, because then you're in front of everybody else, so you've got track position.
Yeah.
So they've got to effectively overtake you or use strategy to get past. And we'd be listening, the spotter would be telling you in the radio how good your launch was and where you are coming into the first corner, just giving you a quick word in your ear to tell you what's happening. It's really helpful. You can't see much out of the car. The view from here isn't that great for a spotter for the start, unfortunately, because you can only see the car from behind, so it hasn't got a great picture. And then we come down in, we're going to go standard lap.
Yep. So
we brake just as we come off the tarmac, brake, down 2 gears, and then at Lydon there's a nice bit of tarmac on the inside, and then out of here we're just managing the slide a little bit and then just pulling gears. It'd be 3rd through that corner, probably 4, 5.
What sort of speed are you doing from here?
6. You just get 6 gears, so it'd be well over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
By the time you brake. Feel how rough it is in this car?
Yeah. We're just at the elbow now, Devil's Elbow. You over to the right?
Yeah, not too much so. In the rallycross car, what we're really looking for, if we haven't got to defend from anybody behind, is to brake really late, to load up the front of the car so it will turn, because they don't really like steering. So it isn't, the racing line isn't, it's not like a karting thing where it's inch perfect.
Yeah.
You're a bit more loose than that. But we do still try and get the curb, so you are on the racing line-ish. but it's just getting the entry to try and get the car.
Did you start off in karting?
No, started on bikes.
Did you?
Motocrossing, yeah. And then raced Supermoto here quite a bit. British Championship stuff. Broke my arm here at the elbow at paddock.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the end of that, so I then got into doing rallycross. Yeah, so we're coming up the hill. It's all good up there, 2 more gears, and then the same up here. We can brake really late here because it's actually quite steep.
Yeah.
And the same, nice and late, and load up the front of the car and turn in. Which is okay, but I always...
Do you see this as a double apex or a single apex? Because Tom talks about it being on a bike, a double apex.
I always struggle to get the second apex. We turn in and clip the curb on the way in, but struggle to get to the one on the way out. It always wants to go to slide to the outside of the circuit. So it's better to try and get the car turned mid-corner if you can.
Yeah.
So you can get back on the... It's all about getting back on the throttle early with these things, rather than being too smooth. Yeah, in the Swift.
You could be quite aggressive with them.
Yeah, you have to be, have to be. In the Swift, you would be on the optimum racing line, clip the curb on the way in, come around there, let it run out as you feed in the throttle, so it's all nice, because they're a low horsepower car, so you need to be inch perfect. Whereas with a supercar, it doesn't operate that way. There's so much grip. You need to make the grip, you need to break the grip to get the car to turn, and then go again.
And coming down Hairy Hill.
It's the exciting bit.
Is it hairy or scary?
It's not too bad, but I always think I could have braked later.
Yeah. Where do you brake?
Just about here, a bit earlier than you think actually. We probably brake, yeah, we'll be a good 60 metres from the actual paddock corner, I guess. But again, in our car, it's better to get back on the throttle.
Yeah.
Because all the transmission all then locks all back up.
Yeah. How many gears have you got on that?
6.
6.
But the diffs and whatever all lock back together when you're back on the throttle.
Yeah.
So it makes the car then happier.
Yeah.
The more throttle you've got.
And then we're back onto the rallycross part of the circuit.
Yeah. And then we're trying to feed the throttle through here. It's properly bumpy. And it was really bumpy yesterday.
Was it?
Just put a gear through here, might even short shift so it's pulling nicely rather than revving too hard. A little bit of curve on the inside, a little bit of curve on the outside to straighten it up as much as possible.
And you fly over this curb here.
Yeah, you take quite a lot of curb now. It used to be a bit more aggressive than that, but now you can properly use that curb. Yeah, it's quite good. And then when we were coming through there, our spotter would have seen what's going on in the race and where you are, and he would have instructed you to either joker this lap or not.
Yeah, and you take his decision.
Yes. Unless something in front of you happens at the last minute. So if you're following someone, that happened to me yesterday. He said, "Well, I'm going to joker this lap," but he said, "Don't follow the car in front."
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the car in front wasn't going to joker, and then did it at the last minute.
Yeah.
And I was committed, so we ended up both going down it. But he would generally call it because he can see what's. Because when the joker happens, some cars are like 3 seconds behind you.
Yeah.
Or in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're not aware of where they are.
No.
So you can't gauge that.
No.
Whereas he can see where you're going to come back out on the circuit. So it's quite good. It's makes it really interesting. And this hasn't always been in rallycross. Joker laps a fairly recent thing.
Well, it's a bit like changing tyres in Formula 1, isn't it? It adds to the excitement.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a good thing. The joker lap's always a bit tricky because it comes down on the normal part of the Lydden circuit.
Yeah. And
then it comes up really steep, and it's really tight.
And you really have to slow the car down here, don't you?
You do, but it's never as much as I think. It always looks, when we're here now looking at it, it looks really tight.
Yeah.
But actually in the car it never quite feels that tight. You always think, oh, I could have gone a bit quicker. This is the more difficult bit. Turning in there's okay, the right, and then left here is a bit tricky to get the car straight and to go over this jump.
Yeah. And it is a jump, isn't it?
It is a jump, yeah. Well, it flings the car in the air, but as you can see, the car's not going really the right way.
No.
So you can't really hit it as fast as you want to go because we're going towards the crowd.
Yeah.
Whereas the circuit goes right. So you never actually hit it flat out. tend to short circuit and then try and get the car.
4 wheels off the.
I don't know. Let's see from the outside.
Does it feel? And can you see much out of your mirrors to see?
Not really, no, because you can only see behind you, and they're actually over your. And then most of the cars are left-hand drive.
Yeah.
So you can't actually see anybody that's on the normal lap.
Yeah.
Again, that's a spotter thing. He'll be in your on your microphone, or his microphone, telling you in your helmet what's happening. He'll be talking to you the whole time. Yeah, and then off here, because he'll say either try and get on the standard lap or you're clear or whatever, just so you know where you are.
Yeah. Because
it can get a bit tight about halfway round now. If there's 2 cars and you've come out the Joker and one's on the standard lap,
yeah, it
can all get a bit exciting just here. So you need to allow for that.
Yeah.
Because people on the standard track, they do have right of way, but so you can't drive through people, so you still got to be aware of what's going on.